So I've got an article here about it. Okay, Jeffrey Epstein, there's much more to the story. Epstein came to my attention, or we don't see that. It says the late state of Ohio Inspector David General Sturtz, one of my sources, was gathering evidence against Les Wexner and Jeffrey Epstein regarding public corruption, bribery, and information related to the murder of Columbus attorney Arthur Shapiro. The ghost of Arthur Shapiro, a prominent local attorney who was slain in a 1985 mob-style hit, mob-style murder, continues to haunt the city of Columbus. Columbus Alive obtained a copy of the Shapiro homicide investigation, analysis, and hypothesis report through a public records request. The report confirms that the name of Leslie Wexner, owner of the limited brands now L Brands, including Victoria's Secret, was linked with associates reputed to be organized crime figures. Shapiro was a partner in the now defunct Columbus law firm of Schwartz Shapiro, Kelm, and Warren. The firm represented the limited, according to the report, and prior to his death, Arthur Shapiro managed this account for the law firm. Homicide Squad investigators described Shapiro as a quiet, shy, private, and secretive person who tended to be a loner. Just prior to his murder, Shapiro was the subject of an investigation by the IRS because he had failed to file income tax returns for some 7 years prior to his death, and he had invested in some questionable tax shelters, the report stated. His death occurred 1 day prior to Shapiro's scheduled appearance before a grand jury in the IRS investigation, and there was some conjecture that Shapiro was in position to provide information to the grand jury that would have been damaging to some other party. An entire analysis of the murder investigation is documented in the Shapiro murder file. Epstein was perceived by Sturtz and then Franklin County Sheriff Earl Smith as Shapiro's replacement. What do you know? What do you know? Yeah, you know, the guy that was doing the job before just got smoked, just got shot, just got murdered in a gang execution.
That's so crazy.
Just took over.
A lot of
Sturtz
people
referred to
died
Epstein
behind
as
this
Wexner's boyfriend. Are you seeing that?
What? In position to provide information to the grand jury that would have been damaging to some other party, an entire analysis of the murder investigation is documented in the Shapiro murder file. Epstein was perceived by Sturtz and then Franklin County Sheriff Earl Smith as Shapiro's replacement. Sturtz referred to Epstein as Wexner's boyfriend, but Epstein was more than that. He was an international man of mystery with ties to the CIA, the royal family, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and others. And at the heart of it, he is perhaps our nation's most well-known pedophile, echoing Greek tragedies. Wexner, with his name on more central Ohio buildings than anyone and known for his generous philanthropy, was caught up in Epstein's human trafficking scandal. So what? They saying Wexner? Oh, this is sick. So Wexner is Epstein's sugar daddy? And Epstein got the last sugar baby smoked so he could take that position? That's what's going on here? I'm confused, bro.
Are you seeing this?
That's sick.
Sturtz referred to Epstein as Wexner's boyfriend, but Epstein was more than that. He was an international man of mystery with ties to the CIA, the royal family, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and others. And at the heart of it, he is perhaps our nation's most well-known PDF. Echoing Greek tragedies, Wexner with his name on more central Ohio buildings than anyone, and known for his generous philanthropy, was caught up in Epstein's human trafficking scandal. Okay. I'm speechless. Epstein and Wexner reportedly met in 1985 when they were introduced by Bob Meister, an insurance mogul. Wexner and Epstein's real estate dealings go at least back to 1989 when they jointly purchased a mansion in Manhattan described as the second largest residence in New York City. Wexner granted Epstein a durable power of attorney over all of his economic dealings in July 1991.
That is insanity. That's like some shit a husband would do for a wife or a wife would do for a husband. I ain't gonna lie, that is insane. That makes me believe this this other shit more and more. Wexner granted Epstein durable power of attorney over all of his economic economic dealings in July. Holy. So they met in 89, and then from 89 to 91, that's when Wexner gave up all his shit. Epstein must have got closest to this man and fucking did weird, sick shit with him and told that man, yo, listen, I'm gonna fucking air this shit out. We both will go down, or you give me your fucking economic dealings and shit, power of attorney. This is crazy.
Excuse me? In 1998, business documents identified Epstein as president along with Wexner of the New Albany Company. Epstein owned the house on King George Drive in New Albany from 94 to December 2007 when he gave it to Wexner with no money exchange. Also in 1998, Wexner transferred his interest in their Manhattan property for $20 million to Epstein. Doesn't make sense.
Crazy.
It doesn't make sense. You're just getting handed over the second largest property in New York City. Excuse me? Excuse me? Now, interestingly enough, okay, in the released files that came out later, it was claimed that Epstein actually used cryptic gang-related terminology in emails, language that Wexner was even forced to address during his recent testimony. So look at him responding to these allegations.
Epstein signs off by saying, I believe that this information belongs to you, and under gang stuff rules, I cannot simply be the repository of people's hushed calls and not share with you. And the subject of the email is, for Les's eyes only, please do not circulate. So the phrase gang stuff rules, is that a familiar phrase to you in this context?
Jeffrey was like a Brooklyn guy. He, in hindsight, he didn't use words like have a confidential discussion or my opinion, or this is secret or private or confidential, personal things that lawyers or accountants might use in normal language. He would say, this is gang stuff.
Got it. So
that was just how he talked.
So it was a phrase that Mr. Epstein would use to mean confidential conversations.
To me, yes.
Okay. And this,
I don't think I ever used the other words, which in hindsight.
They're
This dude is compromised like a motherfucker. Gang shit. This nigga Epstein was telling this man gang shit. This makes, what the fuck is going on?
on some gang shit. He said Jeffrey Epstein was from the hood. He's on some gang shit. He didn't talk about we're going to have a confidential discussion. He said we on gang business. He said we on nation business, gang shit. What the hell am I hearing? What are we?
It's starting to sound like he's Jewish mafia, bro. Is this Wexner nigga, is he Jewish? Wexner. Because I heard, nigga, I know for a fact Jews got a mob. Wexner. What's his name? Wexner. What the fuck? How you spell his name?
He talking about? He on some gang shit. Okay. So
spell his name?
elsewhere in
Wexner?
this testimony, okay, Leslie Wexner would also testify that when he first met Ghislaine Maxwell in 1990, she and Epstein presented themselves as a couple that were intending to get married.
Let's move on to talking about Miss Maxwell. When did you first meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
Why are they keeping his religion out of this? What's his religion? Jewish. How did I know? How did I fucking know? Les Wexner is Jewish, born to Russian Jewish parents, and is a committed philanthropist dedicated to supporting the North American Jewish community in Israel. So when Epstein is saying gang shit, he's talking about Jewish mob, bro. Jewish mafia exists, bro. Is there? I'm about to ask AI this, but I already know the answer. Is there a Jewish mafia? I already know the answer, but I'm asking Gemini. Historically, a prominent Jewish mafia, often called the Kosher Mafia or Kosher Nostra, was highly active in the United States from the late 19th century through the mid 20th century. Today, while the original US-based Jewish American crime families have largely faded, organized crime involving Jewish and Israeli nations continued through different forms. Oh nah. Oh nah. You boys thought I was lying. Remember, he's Russian Jewish. Listen to this. Soviet Jewish Russian mafia since 1970s. New criminal network have emerged among Soviet Jewish immigrants, notably in Brighton Beach, New York. These groups are often more culturally aligned with broader post-Soviet. Yeah, these niggas is mob. We just put two and two together, bro. Yo, I gotta put this up on screen. I gotta share my screen to show you guys. Well, let me just search this on Twitter, actually. Bro, we just figured out something, bro. First of all, I want you guys to know. I want you guys to take note. Is Les Wexner a Jew? I just want you guys to take note of this shit real quick. Yes, Les Wexner, full name Leslie Herbert Wexner, is Jewish. He was born to Russian Jewish immigrants parents. His father from Russia, his mother from Jewish family in Brooklyn. What, bro? Didn't he say, "Oh, he's a Brooklyn boy. He's on gang shit." Okay, right? And multiple reliable sources describe him explicitly as Jewish. This includes, all right. So he's Jewish, right? Is Les Wexner a Jew? Now, is Epstein a Jew? Obviously he is, but I just want to know. I just want to clarify something. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein, full name. He has my middle name. Yo, that's weird. Why this nigga got my middle name? Jeffrey Edward Epstein was Jewish. He was born to Jewish parents in Brooklyn, New York. His father was groundskeepers for the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, and his mother was a school aide, both from working class Jewish families. Reliable source includes biographical Gordian, Jewish media like Forward, and Jewish Telegraphic. Described John Hebrew school. Bar mitzvah, though he is not particularly observant in adulthood, his heritage identify are well documented in coverage of his family scandal and philanthropy, donations to Jewish causes like Harvard Hiller. Okay. So, Jeffrey Epstein, Lex Wexner, both Jewish, right? Both have ties to Brooklyn Jews, right? Let's say is. Is there Jewish mafia in Brooklyn, New York City. We're going to get to this, bro. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Historically, yes, Brooklyn, New York City was major hub for Jewish organized crime, Jewish mafia, or kosher nostra in the early to mid 20th century, particularly from the late 1800s through the 1940s. So, Lex Wexner, 1940s, right? I thought it went up to the 1970s, though. Murder Inc., also called Murder Incorporated, a notorious enforcement arm of the National Crime Syndicate, a multi-ethnic mob alliance including Italian mafia. It operated primarily out of Brooklyn, carried out hundreds of contract killings in the 1930s, and bro, they was calling themselves Murder Inc. Holy shit. Other notable Jewish gangsters with Brooklyn ties: Meyer Lansky, often called the mob's accountant with roots in NYC Jewish underworld; Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, raised in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. That's where I'm from. Louis Lepke, 1920s, 1930s. These groups were involved in bootlegging, prohibited era, gambling, labor, extortion, murder, and competition. Italian, bro. Alright. We're getting a little off topic. So, so we got Les Wexner being Jewish with Brooklyn ties. We got Epstein being Jewish with Brooklyn ties. Both of them committing, talking about committing, what's that shit called? Fuck, I'm losing my train of thought, man. Let me ask Rock this. Let me just ask Rock this. Is it safe to assume Epstein and Les Wexner are Jewish mafia? No, it's not safe to assume the accident typo refers to him were part of a Jewish mafia. Oh, nah, they said it. They admitted it. Jeffrey Epstein and Les Wexner, assuming the typo refers to him, were part of a Jewish mafia. While both were Jewish and had a documented close business relationship, Epstein managed Wexner finances the 1980s and to 2007 received power of attorney. Southern Air Transport, which had alleged CIA ties. There is no credible evidence linking them to organized crime syndicates akin to the historical Jewish mafia. Alright, bro. If you read between the lines, bro, they fucking was. Because look, reference to a Jewish mafia in their context often stem from abstain, unsubstantiated conspiracy theories. So we all know conspiracy theories is only a conspiracy theory until it fucking comes out to be the truth in a couple months. Which I believe this might come out. Well, it might not because CIA is involved in this. But listen to this. They like to call it anti-Semitic to claim of Mossad involvement or a Jewish cabal protecting elites, as seen in social media and fringe discussions around Epstein's death. So we can't even assume. We can't even assume these things without it being anti-Semitic. How is it anti-Semitic to how is it anti-Semitic if this is a real thing? If this was documented, there was Jewish mafia in Brooklyn, New York. How is this anti-Semitic, gang? What? How is that anti-Semitic? That's wrong in itself. And then two, look, they after they say there's no evidence of what is it called? Of these people committing crimes and shit, right? So it's not safe to assume, but yet we have here there are whispers in some reports of Wexner indirect ties to mafia figures through an unsolved 1985 murder of his lawyer, Arthur Sharpio. But these are speculative and not proven. Arthur Sharpio is the person uh, that Ross was just breaking down that was in the emails and that got whacked for Epstein to be in his position he's in now, right? Epstein crimes centered on sex trafficking and exploitation, with the recent deposition alleging Wexner involvement in similar abuses, but this doesn't equate to mafia operations. And then we have these people talking about gang shit. We have these fucking Jews talking about gang shit. Are you shitting me, bro? Like, I don't give a fuck. This is not anti-Semitic because once again, Jews was found to be fucking mobsters back in those days, bro. So why would it be hard to assume an old fuck like Wexner wasn't involved in that shit? An old fuck who has ties to Brooklyn Jews and Russian Jews who was running the mob. Come on, bro. It's not hard to put two and two together, gang. I literally just cracked this shit, bro. I just cracked this shit. This nigga Wexner was definitely mob. He was definitely Jewish mafia. And Epstein, he must have been mob too. He must have been mafia too. And these niggas have connections to political people who's higher up. That is the reason why this shit is considered anti-Semitic, because they could get people in the higher ups to say that this shit is anti-Semitic when it's obviously not. When it's been proven that there is Mossad and there is Jewish mobs, there is Jewish mafia. So that's the reason why I went through all this questioning, to make sure I'm not incorrect and I'm not being anti-Semitic. Like, how can you call this anti-Semitic when historically, yes, Brooklyn, New York City was a major hub for Jewish organized crime, Jewish mafia, kosher nosha. Come on, bro. Stop it. Stop it, bro. We just discovered something new. Epstein was part of the Jewish mob. Wexner was the mob boss. That's the reason why money was transferred to Epstein. Epstein got the person Wexner wanted Kufi gone. Epstein got it done for him. He was a real gangster. Well, he's a pedo, so he ain't no fuck out gangster, but he was mafioso, bro. They was all in the mob, bro. That's crazy. I just put that together. I want to take pictures of this before I close this out. Remember, I am a happy person. I would never commit suicide. So if something happens to me, Just know it wasn't me. Let me ask one more question. Is Epstein CI? No, there's no confirmed or evidence. Alright, so they still saying no. We already know he is though. We already know. We know the truth. RP Drake, yo, bro. We know the truth.
Probably about the time that I got engaged to Abigail. So it must have been about 1990.
And do you recall how you met Miss Maxwell?
Well, Jeffrey wanted me to meet the person he was going to marry, and I was engaged to Abigail. And period.
So he said Epstein was intending to marry Ghislaine Maxwell, all right, and that's how he ended up linking up with Ghislaine Maxwell. But the long-standing allegations from survivors and recently released documents would suggest that there might have actually been, and this is insane, a romantic relationship between Wexner and Epstein as well. This is going around the r/Epstein subreddit from a couple of weeks ago. It said Epstein earned his money from having relations with Les Wexner. What? So this is a bunch of sort of testimony about different people. This is Les Wexner. Steve Scully stated that Wexner was #1 on Epstein's speed dial, and blank stated Epstein earned his money from having S with Wexner. What? What the? So they're in a gang, and they're hooking up together, and I'm out of my depth. It says, as has been suspected for years, Wexner was in love with Epstein, which explains how Epstein controlled him and his money. Occam's razor strike.
Y'all not understanding. Y'all thinking sex. I'm thinking these niggas is really mafia, bro. Mafia is different, bro. That shit's generations. Wexner is at the end of his days. Look how he talks and shit. I believe he was cultivating this nigga Epstein to become the next mob boss, bro. I believe that's what was going on. And in order to give him the keys to being a boss, you gotta give him the funds. Yeah. Trap Lord Ross, shout out to you, man, for putting this shit together, gang. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Without Trap Lord Ross, I would never ever put 2 and 2 together. I didn't know this nigga Epstein was from Brooklyn, New York. I didn't know this nigga Wexner was, well, family is from Brooklyn, New York. I didn't know that shit. Then once you fucking hear them talking about gang shit, it is not hard to put 2 and 2 together. Like, come on, bro. Even though they're Jewish, doesn't mean they're gonna be like not trying to talk how we talk in New York. They're jealous of us. So they're gonna be trying to talk like us. So they're like, yeah, we gang, nigga. Fuck, we need to talk down. Sit down with gang, you heard? Like, come on, bro. These people literally was in our face, gang, like mafia. It's still going on to this day because Wexner's not dead. He's not arrested.
Strikes again. People saying, just throwing it out there that having S with him might also mean alongside. They're saying Wexner's homosexuality was an open secret, especially in Ohio. Epstein might not have been gay, but he was a sexual deviant to the nth degree and ruthless in his quest for wealth and power. A little bit of gay in stuff is a small price to pay for someone as depraved as Epstein. I don't even want. Do I want to know what's in this link? Do I want to know? Okay, it wasn't anything worth showing you. What? They're saying Epstein had power of attorney over Wexner's estate 5 years into their relationship. It's been discussed on this sub many times. How did Leslie Wexner get away with this? Les Wexner, owner of Victoria's Secret, gave power of attorney to Epstein 5 years after meeting him in 1991 and gained full control over his finances that allowed Wexner. Wexner said Epstein used it to steal enormous amounts of wealth of him, but he never reported it to the police. Only recovered a partial amount after Epstein donated to his wife's charity. Why allow all the money to be returned via a donation via the charity unless you wanted to obfuscate the financial...
It makes sense now, bro. It makes all the... Yeah, now I get it, bro. If Lex Wexner is like the richest, one of the richest fucking Jews out here, it's not hard to believe he's the mafia boss, bro. He's the crime boss out here, bro. Cause I've already been noticing, I've been very ignorant my whole life, not knowing the scams that these niggas do, bro. They do a lot of scams in New York. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's like the boss man that they all have to pay their dues to. That's why he's so filthy rich. This is crazy, bro.
Trial, okay? And they talk about the meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, people saying it's leverage. You're surrounding people that make you seem loyal. Money and compromise. I'm not actually seeing too many people say that they're in a relationship here. This is an interesting explanation from the gang site. It says, to make a long story short, old mafia forces basically joined up with the American...
Thank you. Look, somebody else is thinking just like me. To make a long story short, old mafia forces basically joined up with the American and many other governments and worked together to achieve common goals. That criminal element and cooperation is at the core of this issue. This is what I'm trying to say. This is my fucking point right here, brother. That is my point right there, brother. It makes all the sense they will be part of a mafia, bro. Because this dude and Epstein, what are they interested in? They're interested in power. That is why Epstein used to name drop all the time. You remember he said that?
Government and work together to achieve common goals. That criminal element and cooperation is at the core of this issue. Interesting stuff. They're saying